Undefeated Bahamut Chronicle begins with the war 5 years ago, when the Arcadia Empire was overthrown. The Arcadia Empire is an empire ruled by a tyrannical and cruel king. Despite living in misery, the residents there did not dare to fight until finally, there was a lone warrior who dared to carry out a coup against the empire. Using a black drag ride, the lone warrior destroyed 1,200 of the empire's drag riders and became known as the Black Hero. In the present, there is a young man named Lux Arcadia, ex-prince of the empire, who is now working as a handyman. While chasing a stray cat, Lux accidentally falls through the roof of the Royal Knights Academy bathroom onto Princess Lise Charte or Lisha Autismata. She is one of the Autismatan Empire and he sees a mark on her stomach. Because he was considered to have committed a very presumptuous act, Lux was finally thrown into prison. After that, Lux was called by the headmistress, who asked him to become the drag knight in the school because they lacked the male drag knight. However, Lisha demanded that Lux be punished for being presumptuous. She challenged him to fight. Although she knew Lux was being undefeated in battle, she said he would be in prison forever if he lost the battle. At that place, Lux meets his sister, ex-Princess Airi Arcadia, who demands him to win the duel. Because, as the former royalty, they have to pay a massive penalty to the current royal family. And if Lux goes to prison, Airi will have to pay the fine herself. Long story short, Lux ended up fighting Lisha using his white drag ride. In that battle, Lux's white sword is damaged, but he insists on continuing with his broken sword, refusing to use his black sword. However, suddenly the Abyss Dragon attacked them, so he immediately took a fast action to protect Lisha. Lux allows himself to be injured, giving Lisha the time to destroy the Abyss Dragon. After the duel, she falls in love with him as he is the first man to try to protect her. Shortly afterward, Lisha visits Lux in the infirmary and reveals that 5 years ago, she was kidnapped by the Empire to use as a hostage against her father, Count Autismata. This was because of the Count's previous objections to the Empire's policies. After being enrolled in the academy, Lux is nervous about being the only male student but is relieved to find that his childhood friend, Philippi or Fee Angram, also the headmistress's sister, is his classmate. But Lisha seems displeased at seeing Lux's interactions with Fee. Lux then meets a girl named Krulsifer Einfolk, who wants him to find the Black Hero, a legendary figure who single-handedly destroyed the old Empire's army and caused its destruction. Hearing Krulsifer's request, he seemed very tense because the Black Hero was actually Lux himself. He then remembered his past with his older brother, Fughil, before the coup began, where Fughil told that the old Empire began abducting young girls for human experimentation to create weapons, one of whom was Fee. A few days later, Lux and the others appeared to have gathered at the drag ride hangar, where they were briefed on the situation. A giant abyss had appeared. Many of them head out, but Lux stays behind as he isn't a member of the Knight Squadron. The attack was apparently masterminded by a man named Rogreed, a former noble of the old Arcadia Empire who wanted to destroy the new kingdom and then revive the old empire under his rule. Rogreed was involved in kidnapping young girls for human experimentation, as he overwhelms Lisha and reminds her that he was the one who marked her. When Lisha was in a state of urgency and nearly killed by Rogreed, Lux arrived and pulled his black sword, turning it into a black drag ride, revealing his true identity as the Black Hero in front of her. As the Black Hero, Lux easily destroyed the Abyss Dragon and killed Rogreed with the reload on fire. After the battle, he is hailed as a hero, and Lisha agrees to keep his identity as the Black Hero a secret. Shortly afterward, the headmistress sets up a game where the girl who steals a red request paper from Lux within 1 hour will get him as her servant for a week. Because of that, he rushed to run away from the female students who were chasing after him. After successfully tricking the female students several times, with only 10 minutes remaining from the allotted time limit, Lux was trapped in the locker room with those girls looking for him, including Krulsifer. Then she caught him, but she kept him hidden. But then, a bell sounded, signaling the real end of the game with Krulsifer as the winner for tricking Lux. As the winner, she asks Lux to be her boyfriend for a week and goes on a date with her. However, in the middle of their date, suddenly, a group of bandits attack them. Krulsifer uses her ability to see into the future and manages to defeat them. Unexpectedly, Lisha and Fee secretly followed Lux and Krulsifer because they were curious about their date. Although in the end, the two girls were caught by him. Then, they became acquainted with Alterez, Krulsifer's female butler, who was shocked that Krulsifer had a boyfriend, especially since the man was Lux Arcadia, former prince of the old Arcadia Empire. While the 5 of them were having dinner in the restaurant, a man came to their table, where Alterez then introduced the man as Lord Kreutzer Baltzeride, Krulsifer's fiancé. The real reason why Krulsifer asked Lux to be her boyfriend was to cancel her engagement with Lord Baltzaride. But it seemed that he had insisted on marrying her and challenged Lux to have a fight with him in 3 days, to determine who was the better of them. Lux confidently accepted the challenge. The next day, the headmistress, who had investigated the attacks launched by Rogreed and the Abyss Dragons, discovered that Rogreed uses the horn whistles to summon the Abyss. Upon learning that, the headmistress gathers Lux and his companions to investigate the ruin. Because the horn whistles are the key to entering the ruin, he gives it to Lux. Before they leave for the ruin, Lord Baltzaride Kreutzer arrives and tells them he's participating in the expedition, although without insurance from the Royal Officer Academy. Once arrived there, Krulsifer immediately drifted down towards the ruin to check the situation there, while Lux and the others sensed the presence of the Abyss near them. Sure enough, not long after, the Abyss appeared and immediately attacked all of them. A fierce battle was inevitable. Lux and his companions seemed overwhelmed by the fast-moving Abyss and were quite challenging. Krulsifer manages to shoot at the Abyss, but because of that, she has lost her ability to see the future, while Lord Baltzaride eventually succeeds in killing the Abyss. However, after being defeated, the Abyss triggered a tremendous energy explosion, which caused a huge roar and made the ruin radiate a very bright light. At the same time, Krulsifer and Lux were sucked into the ruin and trapped there. They then walked towards the altar in the center of the ruin, where she admitted to him that she was a surviving citizen of the ancient ruins. Krulsifer explains that she was found as a baby by the Earl of the Ymir Theocracy, who thought she might be valuable. She worked hard to become a drag knight, but turned out it made her adopted siblings jealous. She came to ruin to prove she was human, but now she accepts the fact that she is not. Long story short, Krulsifer and Lux were finally rescued by Lisha, but he hides the truth about Krulsifer and claims that the horn whistle is not a key to the lower levels. Finding nothing in the ruin, they finally decided to end the expedition and return to school. A few days later, the battle against Lord Baltzaride finally began. With his strength, he managed to make Krulsifer lose her future-seeing ability and defeat her. Lord Baltzaride admits that he knows Krulsifer is a citizen of the ruins and plans on using her to access and use the advanced technology to destroy the Ragnaroks, the unique abyss of incredible power, and each Ragnarok capable of destroying an army on its own. Each Ragnarok contains a crystal known as a Grand Force in its body, which can only be obtained by killing it. That was the reason why he was so ambitious about marrying her and getting access to the ruin. Not long after, Lux arrived there using his black drag ride and revealing his black hero form to Krulsifer. He and Lord Baltzaride engaged in a fierce duel, but in the end, Lux managed to defeat him while confirming that he was Krulsifer's new fiancé. Then, Krulsifer admits to him that he successfully impresses her. Then she kisses him twice in front of a furious Lisha. One day, Lux is asked to investigate a rumor about a suspicious person lurking around the school. That's why he is forced to cross-dress as a girl to avoid suspicion. When he disguised as a girl and sat alone in a lonely place, suddenly someone approached him, and he was nearly assaulted by the suspicious prowler. But then, a girl named Celestia or Salas Ralgris came to rescue him, making the suspicious prowler rush away. Salas is a daughter of a high-ranking noble, who is also the strongest third-year student of the academy and is known as a man-hater. After thanking her, Lux introduced himself as Luno. When returning to school, Salas was surprised when she found out that there was a boy at their school. She finally met Lux without his disguise and then urged him to leave the academy. But, the headmistress arranges a formal match in which, if Lux wins, he may stay, but if Salas wins, he must leave. The next day, the members of the Chivalric Order, led by Salas, travel to Rise Island for a training camp, where Lux notices a large building at the top of a mountain. After meeting Luno, Salas started to feel comfortable and told her a few things about herself. While resting in the shade outside town, Salas reveals that she, in fact, does not hate men, and it was just a misunderstanding that has never been resolved. She tells that she was trained by Lux's maternal grandfather, who had died in prison because he spoke out against the Empire's corruption, and she only wants Lux out of the school to protect him. The next day, the battle between Salas and Lux finally started. Their battle seemed even as both of them were tough. Meanwhile, two female students managed to locate the suspicious prowler from the academy, who is revealed to be Sania, one of Celestia's friends who is actually a spy for the Heiberg Republic and has been stealing information from the academy. Sania admits that her mission is to topple the Empire. Not long after, the revived Ragnarok appears, interrupting Lux and Salas' battle. Salas appears to defeat it on her own until a mysterious hooded figure appears and revives it using a flute. Sania then attacks her, who is shocked at the betrayal. Defeated, Saelas tells Lux everything, but he tells her that he already knows when he exposes himself as Luno. Preparing his black drag ride, Bahamut, Lux attacks and quickly defeats the Ragnarok, but its core is taken by Sania. Then, the hooded figure introduces herself as Ha-Yes of the Heiberg Republic, who looks like Lux and Airi. Ha-Yes tells Lux that he had forgotten a tragic incident on the island 5 years ago. After getting what they want, Ha-Yes and Sania rush away from there. Later that night, Saelas expresses her anger at being deceived by Lux, but she eventually forgives him and allows him to stay at the academy. Lux later tries to remember what happened on the island 5 years ago, but his head begins to hurt, and an earthquake suddenly hits as the new ruins appear out from the sea. As the investigation to explore the ruin begins, Lux and his companions travel inside the ruins and are surprised to find a destroyed ecosystem. They suggest that a war took place based on the destruction. The group decides to split up to cover more ground. When Lux's group discovers a young girl covered in rubble, the group calls Krulsifer to check on the girl, who awakens at her touch. Krulsifer realizes that she is not human. The girl introduces herself as La Cruche, the keeper of the ruins, and she refers to Krulsifer as administrator. La Cruche explains that she had lost most of her memories and data due to her long slumber and confirms that most of the ruins' functions have been suspended. Lux is carrying a tired Fee as they enter a room where the abyss was being created. Fee suddenly experiences a headache and warns them of incoming danger as an abyss suddenly appears and attacks them. They leave the ruins and confront the remaining abyss, but she is thrown into the old building on the mountain when Lux starts to remember more about the past. He entered the building and recalled that it was once used as a place for human experimentation by the old Empire, and Fee was one of the victims. Lux finds Fee only to be attacked by Ha-Yes as she smiles maniacally, and her eyes emit an inhuman glow. Then, Lux confronts Ha-Yes, but she warns him that if she dies, Fee dies too. Ha-Yes explains that she planted a seed of Ragnarok inside Fee and that she is slowly turning into an abyss as her body is being eaten from the inside. Ha-Yes then offers Lux a deal in which she will command the Ragnarok to save Fee, who will die in a few days in her current state. But in exchange, Lux must open the entrance to the deepest part of the ruins using Krulsifer as the key. Later that night, Lux meets with R'lyeh, who reveals that Fee supposedly died due to the inhumane experiments conducted on her 5 years ago. But she awoke stronger than before, not like she used to. R'lyeh reveals her determination to explore the deepest areas of the ruins because she hopes to find something that can cure her sister. Lux is suddenly contacted by his older half-brother, Fughil, who explains that the only way to save Fee is to destroy the Ragnarok that controls her and Ha-Yes Horn. The next day, Lux and his companions open the entrance to Ruin's deepest area with Krulsifer's help and La Cruche. But Ha-Yes appears with Fee under her control and attacks them. Airi, who also possesses a horn, allows Fee to regain control of herself and breaks Ha-Yes Horn in the process. But the Ragnarok is revived. Despite their best efforts, the group is overwhelmed until Lux unleashes Bahamut's full power and defeats the Ragnarok. Fughil convinces Ha-Yes to retreat as the ruins begin to collapse and La Cruche loses consciousness. As Lux recovers, he is assured by Fee that she can resist the horn and thanks to him for saving her. After returning home from training camp, Airi warns Lux that the Empire's assassin Blade, the strongest drag knight serving under the Emperor, has escaped from prison and that Lux is their target as he destroyed the Empire. While Lux and Airi are talking alone, they are met by the aforementioned Eskepi, who introduces herself as Yoruka Kirihime, who calls Lux her master due to a contract she made with his father years ago and is willing to do whatever he says. Lux questions Yoruka about her intentions, but she does not answer. Instead, she asks him how long he intends to deceive everyone as he is more than capable of destroying the new kingdom and re-establishing the empire. But Lux replies that he does not desire to. Yoruka is then attacked by the girls, but she fights back with her own divine drag ride and eventually flees. Lux and Airi are then called by the nobles to discuss a plot by Ragrid to overthrow the new kingdom, which will take place after the drag ride tournament. Lux is ordered to act as a decoy to lure out over 100 abyss hiding in uninhabited villages near the kingdom, with the promise of overlooking the Rise Island incident. They order Lux to win the upcoming tournament, and he agrees to do both though Airi is against this. During the tournament, Lisha's match begins, and things proceed smoothly until Yoruka manipulates Lisha's drag ride and makes it attack the audience. Lisha is then imprisoned, and her drag ride is confiscated. Meanwhile, Lux discovers Sania, who unleashes the abyss, which he then lures to the kingdom's soldiers, who manage to destroy them. But afterward, the insurgents led by Ragrid attack and kill the remaining soldiers while the main force retreats. Lux engages him, who reveals that a giant stone golem, piloted by Hayes, is approaching the capital, and Lux is forced to use Bahamut despite knowing that he can only use it for 12 minutes. Lux continues to fight Rogreed, who severs Bahamut's arm, only to learn that it was a wyvern disguised as Bahamut. He quickly defeats Rogreed and his men and heads for the capital. Meanwhile, Lisha is visited by Sania, who derives her. One of her soldiers strips her down as she is curious to see the Empire's mark below Lisha's stomach. But Lux arrives in time to stop them. He convinces a depressed and guilty Lisha to help him fight. He then asks Krulsifer and Fee to destroy the remaining Abyss and insurgents while he and Lisha destroy the giant golem. They are then met by Hayes in her divine drag ride, who splits the city in two with a single attack. As Lux finds an entrance, he is confronted by Yoruka, who intends to revive the Empire, but he still refuses to reconsider her offer. He again questions her reasons for reviving the Empire, and she finally tells him about her past, that she was a princess while her twin brother was the young ruler of their kingdom after their father died of an illness. In exchange for Yoruka's cooperation with the Empire, her brother would be spared. Still, while she was away, her brother was killed by the nobles of their kingdom as a peace offering when they decided to put the blame on him after they surrendered to the Empire. Yoruka kills the nobles in revenge but decides to honor her contract to the Empire, believing it was her fate. Lux, however, compares her to Lisha, who tries her best despite her unwilling position as the kingdom's princess. They continue to battle, and Lux eventually wins by taking advantage of Yoruka's brief distraction when he mentions her brother in a speech. Lux explains that he wished to change the country for the better, but he failed. For him to accomplish this, he had to destroy the Empire first and rebuild it from the ground, thus making Yoruka understand that everything Lux had done was for the Empire. On the other side, the giant golem recovers and prepares to attack the capital. But Yoruka, who decided to serve Lux again, betrays Hayes and destroys the giant's controls at the last second. Outraged, Hayes tries to destroy the capital alone but is finally defeated by Lux. Then, at the end of the festival, Lisha makes her speech as the princess of the new kingdom Automata and announces Lux as her knight to the public, who gave their approval. During the party, Lux sees Fughil, holding what appears to be Bahamut's sword device, then quietly walks away. Lux is then greeted by the girls, including Yoruka, who openly flirts with him, and an angry Lisha demands that he declares which girl he loves. The moral that can be learned from this anime is, what determines a person's good and bad is not his past but his actions in the present. Maybe he used to be a criminal, but now he's a savior. It's possible that he made a big mistake in the past, but now he has managed to change the world for the better.